Ok. Buongiorno. Mi sa che non funziona. Mi sentite? Elisa?
Sì.
Mi senti? Bene.
Sì.
Okay. Grazie.
Vediamo adesso, però non vediamo.
No.
Infatti non capisco. Ok. Vediamo se è un problema di... Ok, vediamo se è un problema del PC o della telecamera. Quindi adesso io condivido. Vedete questo, vedete la schermata? Sì?
Sì, sì, sì.
Ok, bene, allora non vedete solo la telecamera online.
Presentazione che sto prima il tecnico ha detto sul prima di presentare.
Sì. Allora, perché? Vediamo. HD camera. Allora, buongiorno a tutti. Purtroppo abbiamo un problema con la telecamera, il dispositivo non funziona, però la condivisione delle slide, quindi delle presentazioni è operativo. Quindi magari iniziamo e poi passiamo agli altri.
Allora, cominciamo prima con le presentazioni qui in presenza e poi online.
Aspetta. Condivisere lo schermo.
Sì, perfetto.
PDF, fammi vedere se va. No.
Secondo è quella corta
Questo?
No, forse.
Orco.
Modo di
Di lettura? O no?
Ah sì, forse.
No,
Questo.
questo.
Ok.
Schermo intero, grande.
Bene.
Ok. Posso... No, ho finito io. Vabbè. Niente, sto qui seduta, siamo in due. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrea De Toni, a researcher at the Department of Architecture and Urban Studies at Politecnico di Milano. And today we present to you our contribution titled From Mega Event to Miserable Legacy, Localizing the SDGs through the WIFA Euro 2032 Sustainability Concept and Strategy. This is a brief background on sports mega events. Sports mega events such as the Olympic Games, FIFA World Cup, and UEFA European Champions League have been long recognized as instrument of territorial development and urban transition that insist on the territorial development of course and their inhabitants. These are the issues that usually the territories deal with, so environmental impacts on infrastructure, transport and waste, social inequalities such as the gentrification, and underutilize the so-called white elephants post-events, so this kind of buildings that can be underutilized at the end of these events. The institutional response is the 2030 agenda in order to integrate the sustainability into decision-making and processes. And in this particular case, so the WIFA 2032 event, the WIFA Sustainability Strategy 2030. So a strategy that is aimed at including sustainability principles in the football governance. So in this context, this kind of event can be seen as opportunities for advancing sustainability in cities instead of only impacts, negative impacts. The sustainability in these events is a multidimensional concept that embraces environmental, socioeconomic, and governance sustainability, and the localization of the SDGs is a kind of emerging approach that aim to translate in very local level the global sustainability goals, particularly into actions that we will implement. So if this kind of events are properly conceived and planned, can really play a key role in the urban transformation and inhabitant life. Particularly the combination of the SDGs localization with monitoring and evaluation tool can effectively assess the real impact of such events. This case study is the Italian bid for WIFA Euro 2032. We, as Politecnico di Milano, supported the Italian Football Federation bid to UEFA 2032, and we conceived the sustainability concept and strategy. Our framework proposed a structured and replicable approach to localize the SDGs within the host cities and stadiums, and is based on key performance indicators. So it's not only a matter to present the conceptual structure, but also to discuss how this framework and sports mega events can generally evolve from short-term spectacles into measurable sustainability transitions. Our concept and strategy rests on three main pillars, so the strategic alignment with the SDGs and the WIFA Sustainability Strategy 2030, the multi-level governance and stakeholders engagement from the early stage of the proposal development, and the monitoring and assessment through KPIs.
The workflow considers the entire tournament life cycle. Here you can see a simple diagram that we started from identifying the challenges divided in macro themes, and from the challenges we set goals, targets, actions, and we related each KPI to the actions in order to assess them, and we related the SDGs goals, targets, and indicators to the KPIs. The strategy is structured around 3 components: the good governance plans, environmental plan, and human rights plan. And as I said, for each plan, specific objectives, actions, and KPIs were defined. We tried to comprehensively cover the 17 SDGs. So the SDG is really a structured element in the design of actions and goals. This is a scheme, so per each plan, if you see the scheme in the left side of the presentation, good governance plan has, for example, 3 main objectives, and according to each objective, there is an alignment to the SDGs, so the contribution of the actions to the SDGs. In the right side of the presentation, you can see the main contribution of our strategy to the achievement of the SDGs. And we can see that through this speed, we contribute mainly to the SDG 13, climate action, and 11, so sustainable cities and communities. At the same time, the sustainability concept and strategy operates in 3 special dimensions. So from the very local level to the global level, we have the stadium at the local level as a structure and infrastructure, the stadium within its community and city, so the mesoscale, and at the end, of course, the society as a whole, so the global impact of such kind of events. Traditionally, the literature and also in the practical way focused on the very local scale, but we included also the mesoscale of host communities that is usually neglected as a key dimension and a key reason to understand and assess the impacts. Of course, per each scale, we involve different stakeholders and we contribute to different SDGs. So we can map the contribution to sustainability in a visible and effective way. Particularly the environmental plan that we drafted is organized around 4 areas of actions and 9 objectives. Here you can see the main areas of actions, so event sustainability, climate action and advocacy, circular economy and sustainable infrastructure. And according to each area, we have the different objectives. The key objectives and targets, we address the climate neutrality, so measuring the event GHG emissions, also considering its reduction and compensation measure, for example, deforestation in the cities and new green areas in every venue. The sustainable mobility, this is one of the key indicators and actions. So we targeted the 80% of spectators using public transport, for example, in the 3 different scales. So the local access to the stadium, at the same time, the inter-venue transfer, and finally, the sustainable arrival in Italy. The circular economy, so a zero waste scenario per host city and stadium, plastic-free events, and 10 circular labs as living labs. The sustainable infrastructure is the last one, so smart energy metering across all the stadiums, 100% of green electricity, and 10 citizen energy communities. We also consider the use of water, so the water use in one hand, on the other hand, the SODS, so the sustainable urban drainage systems, following the sponge city approach. Beyond this, we have the human rights plan that was drafted by KPMG. And the policies focus on equality, inclusion, anti-racism and discrimination, inclusion and football for all abilities, the attention to the child and young people, refugee support, and health and well-being promotion. Each educational program will be delivered in schools as well as football academies and fun communities. The 2 most innovative elements of our strategy are the introduction on one hand of the sustainable living labs in the host city, and on the other hand, the localization, as I said, of the SDGs. The living labs, as you perfectly know, are participatory environments with the local stakeholder, in this case, to co-design and implement initiatives linked to the tournament in considering the entire life cycle of the tournament. In this way, we support the building of the long-term sustainability capacity in a city. The SDGs localization is the second innovation of this concept. And as I said, we're defining and implementing and monitoring strategies to contribute to the SDGs. This is an example of the KPIs. So we monitor all the macro themes that we included in the strategy. These are only key example. For example, for the macro theme of mobility, as I say, the 80% of spectators using public transport, climate, the GHG emissions, energy, we targeted the 100% of the use of renewable energies, a zero waste scenario. For the water, we included a KPI related to the drinking fountains, at least one per 100 spectators, and the social inclusion, anti-discrimination programs, and, as I said, the living lab. So at least one living lab with 15 stakeholders per city, so the stakeholders' engagement. Compared with the previous strategies on sports mega event issues and theme, the concept makes three conceptual shifts. So from an apparent to an embedded sustainability, targeting the SDGs and related the SDGs to the KPIs, from an event footprint to a territorial transcolor perspective, and from a consultation, only a consultation, to a participatory governance and co-design actions that are the implementation of the sustainable living labs. There are, of course, limitations. For example, the complexity of multi-level governance and a risk of fragmentation in decision-making, and the heterogeneous baseline data across the cities. We already deal with these two first issues during the bid drafting, and we can state that the inclusion, the implementation of sustainable living labs can in some way mitigate this kind of limitation and issues. On the other hand, we have the dependence on political will beyond the event, and this is a bit out of our control, but also in this case, we firmly believe that through the Sustainable Living Lab implementation, we can partially deal with also this last limitation. And that's all. The framework couples, as I say, transcolor spatial vision with a long-term perspective. And we propose an integrated spatial and temporal vision, offering an interdisciplinary and replicable model for future events like this. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I have a couple of curiosity. So actually, this is a plan that is how can I say, independent from the place where it will be adopted.
Well, not really independent, because during the bid drafting, the Italian Federation, the Italian Football Federation, already identified some key cities and stadium.
Or the keys.
Yeah, because at the end there are 10 stadiums and cities, and they already identified these 10 stadiums and cities. Mm-hmm. So we already gathered some data from stadiums, cities, particularly, I don't know, on waste, energy, and we collect this kind of data. It is not so simple because, as always in Italy, the lacking of data is a problem. But, and we already started a kind of preliminary stakeholders engagement with them. So they are already aware of it and they are already engaged.
In fact, the question was connected with the data because the indicators are defined, but sometimes source of data for that information becomes very difficult to to retrieve. And I suppose also that while the event is almost standard, I think you can such how can I say international event attract a number of presents that could be comparable, whether we are in Milan or we are in Turin or elsewhere. But the local system changed radically, and also the interaction between this big object, the stadium, and the city can be structured in a very different way. So I think that the local implication becomes more and more interesting to develop probably in the implementation,
Yeah.
in the next stages of implementation of the plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's true. This is true because we have different situations as well as on the infrastructure, for example, of the stadium, or the mobility of a city. So yeah, you have different situations in Italy, and you have to deal with the single administration and stadium in order to support effectively the achievement of such targets. And so yeah, it's a big work. The Italian Football Federation already started in this month the preliminary phase of implementation, because it is true that the competition is in 2032, but there is a lot of work to do. Also, in partnership with the ministry, it's really a big governance behind this kind of events, but we have to take care of the single differences in each city.
Okay.
Yes, because I have some things that are not really clear, but maybe it's because I just arrived.
Don't care.
But for example, this kind of framework that I would say is multiscalar, of course, and I can agree that you can apply this in very different stage of the planning process, no? So starting from the local assessment before the events, and then in the end the monitoring with all these communities. So I think it's something that you apply in very long term. So I was asked, how do you? I think the temporal dimension is really important in this space. And do you think that this kind of indicator, the framework that you use, is suitable in the first stage and even in the last phase of the planning process? You apply the same framework and of indices, for example, to assess the local impact of this kind of events?
Yeah, because you have two different levels. You have the requests from the WIFA 2030, the WIFA stakeholder, that you have to be aligned with their goals and targets. At the same time, you have the host cities, and you have to try to understand if it is feasible. On the one hand, on the basis of the lacking of data, on the other hand, on the differences between the different cities. But at the end, through a preliminary co-design process, in this phase, we can say a participatory process, you already get the data, you already discuss with us cities what are the targets, what are the objectives, and the stadiums. And they have to be aligned with this. I mean, we discuss with them, and these are the goals that we have to achieve at the end of everything. So a first stage is get your data and have a baseline. And it was an hard work, but we've done it. And then, yeah, the indicators are the same that we planned at the end of the intervention, because we already stated that we have to achieve that. So, yeah, it's a complex process, but with different phases, we have to achieve this kind of indicators. And we stated this in the bid, so we have to do this. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Continue. Any question from the audience online? Okay, we go ahead with another presentation in presence here, and then we move to the online participants.
Aspetta che faccio stop la condivisione. Già stoppata. Ok.
Guarda là sotto, c'è la...
Dove?
in basso a destra, sopra lo zoom, c'è un pulsantino lì
Ah sì.
e fai il modo di lettura là sotto, oppure l'altro.
Aspetta, con
Sotto,
tamaño
sotto.
reale, fate se lo cura, modo di lettura. Ok.
Ok.
Good morning to everybody. Today I'm going to share with you scientific experiment. I would like to call this presentation this way, because this is a work that is strictly developed in contact with the students of the Bachelor, Architecture Bachelor of University of Basilicata. We're starting from a case study. So we apply this methodology that we've developed in our research group that deal with the assessment of tourism ecosystems in the planning practice, so in the planning theory, of course. So we try to transfer this methodology in a very simple way. So we simplify a lot, and we test with the student how could this kind of framework help. So in the real planning practice, for example, could help technicians or architect of urban planner in everyday life, everyday work task. So okay. The case study is Granada and Sierra Nevada. Granada and Sierra Nevada are two localities that are strictly related to each other, because even if they are completely different in the way of living this kind of places, of course, because there are two kinds of tourism specialization. Granada is recognized as a cultural and historical town that, of course, attract visitors from all over the world during the entire year. So we are talking about 200 of presence in October. I mean, it's a huge number, no, for this for cities, for tourist cities. And then on the other side, we have a really adjacent, we have the park of Sierra Nevada that is more vocated to another kind of tourism, of course, nature-based tourism. And I would like to say that for me it's like Cortina Milano, Cortina, landscape, and this kind of touristic place. So you have this peak of tourism flows during the ski period, and then you have a kind of a collapse in August, July. And this gap is more evident if we take in account, of course, just the overnight stay in Granada and Sierra Nevada. And I want to just to highlight that this kind of presence, of course, 60,000 present in a protected areas in a very short term of a period is a high. There is a high number of tourists for this kind of place, no? Even if it's not comparable with the town beside. The methodology that we transfer, so we went to apply and develop with the student, was based on the Stacy framework, so this taxonomy that is made by 3 categories of components that are point of interest. The first category is the attractors, so all the motivation to travel. So all the points that are where there are this kind of activity that attract people to go in these places. The services that that is the second category. That is made of all the structure or the activity that support the tourism experience, so belong to the tourism value chain. And the reachability categories is part of the infrastructure system of a country, but is not the accessibility, is the point that allows you to reach some places. So, for example, parking areas or bus station or train station. So these 3 categories of point of interest, so that made our kind of data set, general data set, are aggregated, so are recognized through the spatial aggregation function. That in this case we apply the k-means method to assess and so to recognize the minimal unit of the tourism supply chain, where after we want to apply the indicators. And so we have we select these 3 indicators in order to simply just try to assess and compare different destination area, different classes that we recognize with the taxonomy that I said before. And for example, the balanced tourism supply systems that is made in the by the accommodation and restaurants. So comparing, providing insights into whether this DA was structured to provide service for day visit or longest tourist stay, which help us to understand the local tourism dynamic and supply infrastructure balance. The diversity reachability systems measure the diversification of accessibility within the destination area in terms of the variety of opportunities to reach a given destination area. And the attraction potential index measure the overall capacity of a destination area to attract visitors by aggregating and weighting the available attractors according to their relevance and diversity. At the end of the elaboration of the of the cluster analysis, we recognize 3 clusters in this case study area. The first one is, of course, the most populated, I would say, cluster, because there are a lot of points of interest that compose this area. Then we recognize that the tourism value chain is more oriented through a long daily trip visitor experience, while the attractiveness is very high, and so the reachability index is even more high. So we say that the cluster 1 is the well-structured destination area for us in this evaluation, while the other part, so the cluster 2 and the cluster 3, are we can say are a little bit more devil in the sense that the structure of the supply is not oriented to attract people and to give this is not I would say there are some weakness. There are some weakness, for example, in the infrastructure systems and in the attraction potentiality, because for example, in the cluster 2 and the cluster 3, all the offer is oriented through more just natural and outdoor activities. Of course, and then we ask to the students just to highlight some cases that, starting from the criticalities, then the weakness that we recognize in the system that we evaluate. We ask to the students to study, and so to find some case study that could be good practice, no, to adapt to our to the area of the to the area that we are evaluate. And for example, they find this project in Copenhagen where the apps and where the offer is organized in some of apps that are well connected with each other, trying to distribute all the flows, so to try to balance the pressure of all the territories through this diversification of offers. And even in Queenstown, in New Zealand, other kind of soft activities that promote outdoor astronomy, sky, winter sports events. So the project at the end is the design proposal that they made is organized in five hubs that are located in all these territories that are targeting and that are targeted for the specific cluster that we take in account. And then at the end, starting from the downscaling of the SDGs, they try to evaluate a kind of impact of this kind of design proposal on the territories. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Any comments here?
Thank you for the presentation. It's really interesting. And when you presented this case study, came to my mind some practical example in reality. Now, for example, Venice, that is well, a different context, of course, but there is a lot of pressure now from tourists during the entire year. But in this framework, did you consider also, or do you want to consider in the next future, a kind of metrics and assessment on the pressure of such tourists on the territory? I mean, on the natural resources, no? Because it's a matter of tourism, of everything, but it's also a matter that a lot of people in the same place, public space, it depends on the public space, but can do not guarantee the same appreciation of the place from the others. I mean, there is a kind of capability.
Yes, yes, of course.
On the one hand, on the other hand, there is a matter of pressure on the territory, so negative impacts in some way. So a kind of balance.
As you said before, I want just to highlight just one point. This is we have a framework that's made by 11 indices. So we select just these three because we have to adapt this kind of simplicity to students that they of course they don't know how to manage, for example, some data or some other elaboration that needs more passages in the frame. But as you said before, there is another question of the availability of data. For example, we on the platform that we developed, we have this indicator that is tourism pressure, that we evaluate through comparing the capacity of the destination area, expressed in terms of beds availability, and the presence. That we have two kind of presence: temporary presence and long stay presence, and then we collect this data from the cell phones. So daily cell phones data that allow us just to trace how the people moves. So the pressure and the capacity, for example, just in terms of not. Of course, environmental pressure, but because this is another future development. Of course, we just in terms of basic, very basic indicators expressed. Just be careful that here you are exceeding the capacity of the place. So you have just to manage this. I don't want to say that you have to promote to say we need more beds here, or you tourists, you don't have to come here. No, I don't want to say that, but just to say you have to manage it as a process, as externalities of this kind of tourism.
Okay. Any other question from the online colleagues? Probably not. Okay, thank you very much. We can go on with the online presentation. I think I see Elisa Conticelli. Probably you are the next presenter.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I try to share my screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's try. Can you see screen?
Yes. Very good.
Probably you are seeing the wrong version.
Okay. Now.
No.
It was bad.
No, maybe try to share the window, not the screen, but the window. The window.
Okay, I try. Just
share the window and PowerPoint.
Okay. Can you see the right version?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'll try to start. Okay. Good morning again. I'm Elisa Conticelli. I'm associate professor in urban and regional planning at the University of Bologna, and today I'm going to present this application of a tool that is quite common and spread all over the world, that is called strategic environmental assessment. And we applied this tool in a specific context in Italy, within the Emilia-Romagna region. And the aim of the paper and this presentation is try to underline the potential of this assessment that, as I said, is quite consolidated, at least in our country. So it's important that since that it's binding, from our point of view, it's important to try to exploit its potential, especially in supporting the entire decision-making process in the planning domain, instead of making it a sort of final judgment of the plans at the very end of the process, once the decisions are already taken. Just few words about this tool. As I said, it's quite known internationally because it was defined in the 1980s, then very adopted in several countries, especially in Europe. once in 2001 a specific directive was issued asking member states to adopt this tool for assessing the sustainability of plans and programs that have any impact on the environment. And in Italy, it was included in the national legislation in 2006. But while the initial nature of this tool was very strategic, as I can say, so it was, a tool that, as it is called strategic environmental assessment, it should be strategic, so very related to support the decision-making process at a very early stage. In the practice, it was more similar to another assessment procedure that is called environmental impact assessment that was older, so probably more codified, so more easy to follow this path, but it was a sort of for sure, it's not exactly respectful of the nature of the strategic environmental assessment, because the EIA was conceived for assessing the sustainability of projects. So it's a final judgment on the design of specific intervention that have a big impact of the environment, while the CIAs, as I said, should accompany the entire policy cycle of the decision-making process. So this was an initial constraint or weakness that is very visible in the current practice. So underestimating the potential of this tool means that we underestimate the possibility to really contribute to achieve a sustainable development by considering all the different dimensions of this concept. So not only environment, but also social and economic dimensions. It's a tool that wants to boost the transparency of the process and accountability, and foresee an involvement of relevant stakeholders in the decision-making process. And he proved to be very flexible, also including new and most relevant topics now, such as climate change, ecosystem service, urban resilience. There are a lot of guidelines but also research that go in this direction. So this is what we have in our hand, and we try with the application that I'm going to present to try to clarify a bit more this potential. Just a few words about the case study. I decided not to go very in detail on the real context that we considered. We applied this SIA process to a urban plan that was developed for a union of municipalities in the Emilia-Romagna region, but because of the time that I have, I prefer to go a bit more on a process level, not go very in detail. But anyway, just a few words about our context, why I'm going to speak about a regional context instead of a national one, because in Italy, regions have very strong power and big competencies in spatial and urban planning. So this means that they issued specific regional laws in this field, and they innovated a lot their planning framework. And Emilia-Romagna is one of the most active regions in this way. It was very interested in innovating the planning framework and also aligning this framework with the sustainability principles. Indeed, the region adopted a law in 2020 where the CIA was already introduced, so 1 year before the European directive. So underlining its interest in really including this tool into the planning framework. And we can say that there was a long tradition or practice adopting this kind of assessment in the region. One important change was in 2017 when the region adopted the new planning law that reorganized the planning framework, especially the nature of the urban plan that was made very strategic, even more strategic, and the sustainable strategic environmental assessment was again an assessment very important in the law for supporting the decision-making process. Going more into the detail of the regional framework, just to understand better what we have in our hand, and then try to explain a bit more the process that we adopted in order to assess the sustainability of the plan and its implementation. As I said, the new planning framework at the municipal level is made by a plan that is called General Urban Plan that has a very strategic nature. So all the decision, just to clarify in few words, all the decisions that are related to the most relevant intervention on the territory, for example, big developments, big redevelopments, are outside the plan in terms of quantification and the assignment of building rights. This is a decision that was due to have a more flexible planning and implementation procedures, while the plan is very strategic, so it's made of main objectives and actions to be undertaken. It's more qualitative and contains just the rules for implementing the plan. Said so, there is from scholars or practitioners a gap between these two dimensions, planning and implementation, that could undermine the sustainability of the final intervention, the what we called here operational agreements, because they are not public driven but private driven tools, planning tools. So there is a big weakness, let's say, between what the plan is going to decide and what actually is going to be presented. This gap should be somehow bridged by the work done within the strategic environmental assessment of the plan. That is requested to assess the strategy, if the strategy is really good for the territory and the environment, so its sustainability. And this task is quite easy, let's say. But then this tool should also set a sort of assessment of for guiding the development of the operational agreement and support the municipality to decide if an agreement should be signed, so accepted or not. And this is made by the definition of performance requirements and also a monitoring system. Going more in detail about this, the process, the decision-making process and support given by the strategic environmental assessment, we can somehow summarize it into these 6 main stages that, as you can see in the graph, accompany really the planning flow on the left part, while the SIA flow is on the right part. We have these 6 stages: consolidated urban diagnosis, external coherence check, internal coherence check, scenario evaluation, guidance for implementation and monitoring of the plan. And I can go more in detail into these different stages, just to try to explain better what's the role of the SIA into this process. First stage is the assessment, or try to distill what is made at the very beginning of the planning process, so the context analysis. The CIA has the role of try to synthesize all the findings, the information obtained from the context analysis, distill them by adopting different tools such as SWOT analysis and so on, and identify the most relevant tendencies that could undermine the sustainability of the context. These information are very important to defining 2 different initial scenarios: the 0 scenario, so the actual situation of the territory and the environment, and the business as usual scenario, so the tendency that we can identify without any new plan in action. This is very important for start defining the initial idea that could be the plan strategy. This first draft of the strategy is then developed, but quickly assessed according to 2 different coherence check, internal and external. Internal coherence check means that the strategy should be consistent inside itself. So all the objectives and actions should be coherent, goes in the same direction, and if there are inconsistencies, this is the moment where these should be identified and resolved. Internal coherence check means also that the strategy should address the criticalities that were identified during the diagnosis, while the external coherence check is a check that compare the strategy with the other objectives that comes from higher levels, for example, European, regional, national level, or sectorial plans that have actions and goals and targets that could be relevant for the plan. For example, in the case study that we analyzed, there was a sustainable urban mobility plan, or the climate adaptation plan. So several actions and targets were considered as relevant and included in the strategy in order to have a very effective planning action given by these different plans and strategies. Having fine-tuned the plan strategy, there was now the possibility to try to understand which kind of effect we could expect in the future. So we then we build in the SIA the plan scenarios. This is a very important stage, and given the fact that the plan is quite strategic, the evaluation and definition of the scenario were mainly qualitative, but also quantitative when it comes to the alignment of, for example, of objectives coming from other plans and programs, and specific targets to achieve. So there was an initial identification of key relevant indicators that could be then included in the monitoring system. During the scenario evaluation, it was then possible also to identify possible measures for mitigating or compensating any situation that was considered not sustainable. And then we moved to the one of the most critical part, as I said before, that is related to the guidance for the implementation. So the regional law assigned SIA the task of try to supporting also the implementation, ensuring that the new proposals for a new redevelopment or developments will be compliant with the plan strategy that go in the right direction. Therefore, what we tried to do in this phase was to identify those topics and aspects that should be further analyzed in a more quantitative way during the definition of the agreements, while we define a sort of checklist of performance and requirements to be addressed by the agreements, the proposal that should be signed through operational agreements, giving a transparent tool for check if the proposal are acceptable, and giving to the municipality a tool that could drive this decision. Finally, the CIA should have a monitoring system, so a set of relevant indicators that ensure that also during the real implementation of the plan, everything goes in the right direction. So we identified two different sets of indicators. One is more related to monitor the situation of the context. So basically the cumulative effects on the environment due to the implementation of every intervention given by the plan implementation, and one set of indicators that was related to the plan monitoring. So basically to understand to what extent all the actions foreseen in the plan are achieved. Just to conclude my presentation, just some remarks from what we have experienced. We can say that this was an example of the adoption of the CIA in its strategic-based nature. So it's not what is requested concerning the development of this tool is really I would say a new way of planning instead of adjusting at the end of the process or giving a final judgment. For sure, we can identify the strength of this process that are really focused on the assessment of the strategic nature of the plan. Everything is very easy, let's say, while the big weakness again is still how to really orient and assess the operational agreements that are these big interventions that should be presented by private developers and should be assessed in order to their sustainability, but also compliance with the plan. This weakness could be mitigated through a very strong and solid monitoring system that should be really implemented. And this would be a strength, but also weakness if we consider what was done in the past in terms of monitoring of the plans. Monitoring was not so well developed, I have to say. So it's important that we are more focused on this part of the process because it's very important. I finished and I hope that I was enough clear. If there are any comments or
Thank you, Elisa.
questions.
This topic is very relevant for planners, in the real sense of the word. Of course, you work in a region that demonstrated in urban law generation and management the highest performance in Italy, no? And also this new regional urban planning law from 2017 represents a reference for Italian regulation concerning planning and so on. I have two quick questions. The first, you highlighted the importance of monitoring, and of course we share this approach. But if the SIA is a process that is closed in a certain phase, before the approval of the plan, SIA has to be closed in a positive way with the recommendation that comes out from the SIA approach and so on. This monitoring, where is in which responsibility goes through the plan implementation according to the process that you mentioned? And I appreciate the difference between the SIA, the strategic approach for the strategic part of the plan, and the quantitative analysis for the agreements, the operational agreements, that is really consistent with the two levels of governance, so the strategic and the operational level that law provided. The question is, the quantitative assessment, strategic environmental assessment of the agreements refers to a comprehensive framework of indicators that give the points of that single implementation, how to contribute to the global objective of the plan. I ask you to reply very quick because we have to go on with the other presentation.
Okay. First question is up to the municipalities or the institution that developed the plan. There is not a binding assessment of the monitoring phase, but they are, how to say, in some way obliged to monitor, but at the end, if they don't
Yeah, I understand.
They could not monitor. Okay, so this is another challenge.
Of course.
Second question, so the relationship between indicators and in the monitoring system and overarching objectives and goals you
Yes,
have asked.
yes, yes.
No, this is a very important part. So trying to identify on one side indicators that could be easily measured by the municipality, but on the other side, indicators that are already monitored by someone else and refer to important targets that should be achieved. So this is really important. So, for example, Andrea spoke about sustainable development goals that have targets and indicators. This is a reference, but we have also other reference coming from sectorial strategies, such as the strategies for adaptation and mitigation at regional level or others. So it's very important that we collect indicators and targets starting from these references.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Elisa. Thanks for participating and for the presentation. I see Lorenzo connected.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You can start your
Let me try to share my presentation. Okay. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Lorenzo Nicotra, a PhD student from the University of Catania, and today I will present our work entitled The Corporate Social Responsibility in Agri-Food Systems, an integrated methodological approach to assessing corporate integration and communication. This study was developed together with professors Alessandro Scuderi, Luisa Sturiale, and Marcella Bucca at the University of Catania. So the presentation wants to focus on an integrated methodological approach to assess how agri-food enterprises integrate and communicate corporate social responsibility, with particular attention to online disclosure through institutional websites. So, sorry. The starting point of our work is the growing importance of corporate social responsibility communication, because over the last decades, business management has gradually moved from a conventional model, mainly based on a linear economic objective, towards a more sustainable approach. In this transition, corporate social responsibility has become a key framework because it allows companies to integrate the economic, social, and environmental dimensions of sustainability into their strategies and operations. In the agri-food system, this issue is particularly relevant because companies are increasingly exposed to regulatory pressure, stakeholder scrutiny, and the sustainability expectations along the supply chain. So, institutional websites have therefore become an important communication channel. They are not only a place where firms can describe themselves, but also a tool through they can build transparency, legitimacy, and stakeholder trust. For this reason, analyzing websites disclosure can help us understand how corporate social responsibility is translated into visible and accessible communication. So the main objective of this study is to analyze how Italian agribusiness enterprises integrate corporate social responsibilities into business management and how they communicate sustainable actions through their websites. So existing research has often focused on indicators rated mostly on circular economy, environmental performance, or sustainability reporting. However, fewer studies have examined the way corporate social responsibility is communicated online to stakeholders in the agribusiness systems. So this creates a relevant research gap, especially because website communication may influence corporate reputation and stakeholder perception. So we propose a structured 7S model for assessing corporate social responsibility communication on website on company websites. So, second, we provide initial empirical evidence from enterprises that already published ESG or non-financial information online. Third, we want to adopt a mixed method perspective, so the quantitative and website analysis. So, summarizing the framework, the overall methodological design, the research is based on an integrated approach that combines a quantitative and a qualitative analysis. The quantitative phase focuses mainly on website-based CSR communication, using the 7S model as an assessment tool. The qualitative phase, which is currently in progress, involves focus group and interview face-to-face in order to understand managerial motivations, barriers, and strategic orientation. The logic of the design is therefore sequential. So we first observe and measure how CSR is currently communicated online. Then, through the qualitative investigation, we mainly aim to explain why certain dimensions are emphasized and while others are less visible. So this allows us to move from a descriptive assessment of current performance to a deeper understanding of drivers. So the methodological approach can be divided mainly in three parts, in three phases. The first phase is the website analysis, which evaluates the current CSR communication using the 7S model. And this is the phase that we are presenting today. The second phase consists on a focus group designed to identify the main drivers, main motivations, and the third phase concerns implementation. So the objective is to translate the result into short and long-term strategies, helping the companies to improve the coherence and completeness of their corporate social responsibility communication. So the core of the study, as I said before, is the 7S model. This model is based on 7 sustainability dimensions that together provide a broad view of CSR communication in agri-food enterprises. So the figure wants to show how the dimensions are interconnected and not isolated. In fact, economic, environmental, and social aspects are central, but they are complemented by ethical, circular, climate, and territorial dimensions. This structure reflects the idea that sustainability communication in the agri-food sector cannot be reduced only to environmental informations, but must also include social responsibility and business ethics, and also circular resource use. So the 7S model was developed as an operational framework to capture the complexity of this structure. In practical terms, each of the 7 dimensions of the 7S model is evaluated through a set of sub-criteria. The economic dimensions includes aspects such as innovation, risk management, and growth, etc. The environmental have the emission, clean air, biodiversity, social, customer welfare, human rights, and so on. Ethical, job skills, health and safety, circular, resource efficiency, life cycle, and waste. Climate regulation, climate action, energy, and territorial have the local impacts, social investment, and business sub-criteria. Each sub-criterion is scored on a scale from 1 to 5, in which score 1 means not mentioned in the website. Score 2 is a marginal or unclear, 3 is in the average, and 4 is clear but improvable, and the 5 is extremely efficient. And the final score is calculated by arithmetic mean of the sub-criteria. So our sample, the empirical analysis, is based on an exploratory sample of 10 Italian livestock enterprises. These are made into large farms or holdings and often are characterized by vertical integrated supply chains. So, most of the companies are in the north of Italy, some in the central, and only 2 in the southern. The production systems includes poultry, bovine, swine, and mixed bovine swine activities, and all the companies included in the sample published, included in the samples, publish ESG or financial or non-financial information in their institutional website. The data collection have started in January 2025, and the analysis, as I said before, is based exclusively on institutional website. And this is important because the purpose of the study is not to measure actual sustainability performance directly, but to assess how sustainability action and CSR commitments are communicated. So, continuing, the first result that we had shows that the CSR communication is not evenly distributed across the 7 dimensions. The average scores suggest that territorial and economical aspects are more visible on company websites. And in particular, we have the highest reaches in territorial sustainability with the highest average score, which is equal to 3.73. This means that companies tend to communicate more clearly their local impacts, their relationships with the territory, and aspects related to business ethics and social investments. In contrast, the environmental sustainability is the lowest score, equal to 2.45. And this indicates that environmental information is often presented, but less developed. Overall, the radar chart can show us that the CSR communication already exists, but it's uneven. The main message is that companies appear stronger in communication local economic responsibility, while environmental and social disclosure still require further improvement. Focusing on the sub-dimension, this allows us to find out the most important subdimensions from the stronger and the critical gaps. So, among the stronger signals, business ethics received the highest score, 4.40. And also, we have high values in competitive behavior, jobs creation, customer welfare, and social investments. And these results suggest that companies are generally able to communicate stakeholder-oriented issues connected with local economic impact. But however, the critical gaps are also clear. Biodiversity has the lowest score, equal to 1.90, followed by diversity and inclusion. Human rights and gender equality are all close to 2. So, these findings are really important because they show that the CSR communication is not absent but selective. So companies want to communicate some issues quite well, especially those close to reputation and territorial embeddedness, while other environmental and social topics remain undeveloped. This is mainly focused on the companies, so from the company level analysis. There is a wide dispersion in CSR communication quality across the sample. Some companies have a more balanced profile, and others are as uneven distribution. More in focus, company 3 is the strongest performer with a higher score across multiple dimensions. But by contrast, company 5 shows the weakest profile, especially for, as we said before, the environmental, social, and ethical communication. So this heterogeneity can be useful from a managerial perspective, because it means that the model can be used not only to compare average performance from the companies, but can be used also for a specific diagnosis. So each enterprise can identify which CSR dimensions are already well communicated and which needs some improvement. So these results needs to be interpreted in light of the explanatory nature of the study. The first point is that economic and financial equilibrium remains essential, but is no longer sufficient to define corporate sustainability. Agri-food companies are increasingly expected to adopt a multi-stakeholder view. The second point concerns the limitation of the study, because the sample is small, and website scoring inevitably includes a certain degree of subjectivity. The 7S model will require further validation, both in terms of reproducibility and applicability. And the next steps are to expand the empirical base, complete the focus groups, and refine the sub-criteria, and connect website communication with the corporate social responsibility directive rules. So overall, the first result confirmed the usefulness of a structured CSR communication assessment framework for agri-food enterprises, while highlighting the need to strengthen environmental and social disclosure. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Lorenzo, for your presentation. I think that it is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I think that is really useful for farmers this kind of approach, and probably in the next phase, if you are planning to convert this approach in a tool, because farmers today are called for farming the fields as well as be kind of bureaucratic in order to attract investment and at the same time communicate everything. So they have a lot to use really a promising approach and tool. I have a question on how did you do with the ecosystem services in general? I mean, I saw biodiversity and climate, but at the same time, I think that we can speak about the quality of soils, for example, that is different in extensive and intensive agriculture. And so if a wide range of ecosystem services are included in this kind of framework, because if you explicit the contribution to ecosystem services, is the first step to pay for them. So, and could be useful also in this case for farmers. And yeah, thank you. This is my question.
Yeah, of course, it could be useful, and this kind of framework is in its first stage, so it could be probably developed in future. And the main focus is not only that can be used for farmers or livestock. The adaptability of this framework, if developed, can be useful for probably for all kind of enterprises, because most of the sub-criteria that are used are also already present in the ESG reporting systems. So some are more specific for the farmers or the livestock, but in the future can be introduced some other sub-criteria for any other kind of enterprise.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lorenzo. We have to move to the last presentation. Chen Xin Li. Okay.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can
All right.
share your presentation.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much to ICCSA for accepting this very, very humble paper. So I am the presenter, Chen Xing Li, and Amanda, as well as Zi'en and Xintian, Rachel, as well as Jiawen. They are my undergraduate students. So our topic for today is comparing user preference for AI-assisted search bar, AI plus VR search interaction, gamified quiz-driven product bundling, and we are actually working towards cross-disciplinary intelligence and also sustainability because we are very much into the super apps and also, e-commerce such as Amazon, and also in Asia is Lazada and Shopee. So we were just trying to see how we can do the market basket analysis or the cross-selling, and then also to look at the sustainability factors. So thank you very much again for accepting this very humble paper. Okay. So Professor Rudas and his team suggested some years ago that actually when we look at market basket analysis, we can look at conjunctive aggregation, and this will usually involve a triangle with the T norm and also the H norms. So if we can do refactoring, which is in business terms going to be considered as a cross-selling or market basket analysis, then it will really help in order to reduce the dimensionality, and so that we will be able to identify not only rich probabilistic mixtures, but we will also be able to identify the upper and lower bounds when we have sufficient data. So that is the long-term vision. Okay, then of course, Professor Mekova and also Fifel. They are from Finland. So they also propose cross-disciplinary intelligence and redesign in order to be part of the circular economy. Because if we focus only on the reuse and recycle, the particular materials and also the products don't really have pretty long lifespan. But if we redesign, then we can extend the lifespan. And then, of course, if we want to extend the lifespan, that means that there has to be a certain marketability, and this will only come about if there is cross-disciplinary intelligence. Then we also have the TU Delft, okay, from Netherlands, who extended the ease of maintenance, upgradability, and also repair, and durability as well as disassembly to attachment and trust. So this is also for the circular economy. So we chose this Finland and also the Netherlands basically because my students are undergraduate students, and then we are very new to circular economy. I mean, Malaysia is a emerging developing country. We are not as advanced as Italy, so we choose a simpler models. Okay. But of course, the presentations earlier on, I've learned a lot from them, and I hope to be able to apply in the future. So what we are interested in is to identify the sample respondents' preference for different types of search, which will be, as mentioned earlier on, with regards to search by chat, as well as search by voice and search by filters. So we want to investigate if there are so many different types of search, okay, then which one would they prefer? And then how will this be related to the AI-assisted search recommendation, AI plus VR interactive visualization, and also the gamified quiz-based bundling. So over here, I think a lot of us are very familiar with the AI plus VR and also the AI-assisted search recommendation. But again, because Malaysia is an emerging economy, so sometimes we don't have sufficient bandwidth in order to go into VR. So to us, it's like, oh, that's nice, okay, but maybe when we have high-end computing, then we will be able to really go into it. For AI-assisted search, I think this is already in Amazon and also in a lot of e-commerce websites. And then over here, we have the gamified quiz-based bundling. So sometimes for small and medium enterprises, they don't have the power of analytics in order to help with the AI recommendation. So we were trying to propose that maybe from time to time, just ask the users what they would prefer through quizzes. And then after that, based on those quizzes, then we will be able to do the cross-selling or the bundling. And then after that comes the recommendation. And with each particular recommendation, then there is also the feedback, the likes and also the shares. And therefore, based on this, then we will be able to gamify, incentivize them so that they will be able to come and then there will be more and more traffic. So this gamification part is part of the attachment and trust. And then, of course, the redesign part is what we are trying to do through identifying what the users like in terms of bundling. So I mean, it is pretty data driven. We don't want to guess. So that is why one part of the redesign is through the quiz, and the other part of the redesign is through the audit trail, the user log, and that is how the bundling will come about in terms of data. So so our hypothesis is that the users may prefer the AI assisted search because it's more common compared to the quiz-based recommendation, because some users may think it is very tiring to answer quizzes from time to time. Then after that we think maybe if it is not too frequent, but it is phased out at time t plus n, then it won't be that boring, or maybe it is at how to say, at a particular event, in other words, it's event triggered, then it may also not be that tiring. So that there are always trade-offs, and we were just curious to know whether it will really be so. And then hypothesis 2, we have users may be attracted to AI plus VR, but only if it remains useful, easy to use, and also affordable. Because again, the problem of bandwidth, because in Malaysia, we don't have sufficient bandwidth for VR yet. Okay, so our research questions is that age and gender among our sample respondents, will influence adoption intentions of AI assisted recommendation as well as AI plus VR visualization. So research question 2 is how will respondents perceive gamified quiz-based bundling as compared to the other two searches? And research question 3 is to what extent can AI plus VR become more localized? Because a lot of us would agree that when it comes to the local market, then products need to be attuned or in sync to empathize with their preferences, and therefore we just want to get more local content and also local processes. Okay. So as usual, the requirements engineering framework is what we use so that we will be able to elicit the requirements, okay, in relation to the system context and also the development context. And then after that, in order to develop the Figma prototype, because the students are analytics students, they are not software engineers. So we did rather simple goals, scenarios, and also solutions. And then, of course, this will be validated through alpha beta testing, and also all the documentation will be done. So the other related work is again from Finland. It is the sustainable awareness framework. Okay, so the sustainable awareness framework again was chosen because it's simple enough for my undergraduate students. So there are only 5 dimensions. So we have individual, social, economic, technical, and also environmental. And then these are the themes which are in each dimension. So of course, being undergraduate students, so I asked them choose the one which is relevant to their topic so that it is doable. Okay. So the other related work is the technology acceptance model, because at the end of the day, what we would like to know is whether the students like the AI plus VR, AI plus the VR, and also the quiz-based bundling. So we look into technology acceptance model 1, and then technology acceptance model 2, which is the social external factors, and then after that is the technology acceptance model 3, which is the internal factor. So this is the anchor. Okay, so and then after that we also have the adjustment part, and this is in 2008, and then after that the authors, Professors Venkatesh Spear and also his colleague, okay, they came up with this one, which is for online shopping. So we can see that, yes, there are cultural factors, there are demographic factors, and that's why we look into age and gender. And then we also look into objective consumption, because, e-commerce, right? So there are so many brands. And then after that, this one we assume should be pretty okay, except for VR. Okay, and then of course there will also be the individual psychological factors. So we look into congruence because this is part of design thinking, and then after that we also look into price consciousness because most of the respondents are students. Value consciousness. So this applies to all e-commerce, and then the rest is about the shopping enjoyment. So all this will lead to online shopping intentions as well as online shopping behavior. So our methodology, as you can see over here, the information systems analysis and design was applied to Muji. Muji is actually a Japanese company, which is very international. So we are interested in the mobile app because young people these days are often on the mobile app. So over here we have the proposal, and then we also have the proposal and the impact and the Figma development, and finally will be the mining. So there are different phases, and so in the pre-proposal part, I asked them to do the strategic roadmap, and then after that use PESTLE, politics, economics, social, technology, law, and also environment in order to assess the feasibility as well as the competitor analysis. Because being new to real life e-commerce, then it will be, how to say, a way to brainstorm and also to test the feasibility. And then after that, when it comes to the proposal, then we propose strategies and value propositions with cross-selling in mind. And then to again assess the feasibility, then use the sustainable awareness framework, 5 dimensions, in order to see which of the value propositions are more practical. So if not enough, then after that I ask them, okay, do weighted criteria analysis, because from this, then they will be able to identify what is important to the customers, which is part of the design thinking part. And then after that, they assign the weights, and then they will be able to simulate and see the different what if scenarios. So then after that, based on these results, then they will be able to develop the Figma prototype and then go on with the alpha beta testing, and finally with the clustering and also the regression. So the students managed to get 101 respondents, and then the user perceptions, okay, obtained, and then 31, however, missing. They have missing data. Therefore, we have only 70 valid observations. So then, this is how the respective parameters are actually coded, and you can see over here that, yeah. Okay, here we have the SAS analytical tools, which are for clustering, correlation, and also regression. Okay, so in terms of the demographics, there are more females than males, slightly more. And then in terms of the percentage, most of the students, 77.23%, are from the 18 to 24 age group. And this is followed by the less than 18 age group, which is 13.8%, which is pre-university. And then after that, followed by the 25 to 34, and after that will be the 45 age group. So most of them, yes, are pretty young. So the digital online shopping enhancement, we have used the circular economy suggested by Professors Makova and also Fifel, as well as the sustainable awareness framework. Okay, so then they suggested that, we should use mobile first online lifestyle quizzes in order to get these real-time updates as to their customer preferences. And then after that, there will be the personalized product bundling generated automatically. So this is just proposal. Okay, they are analytics students, so they don't go into the algorithms, but they do go into the design part. Okay, so then after that, the other proposal was AR try-on for beauty and furniture via the Muji app. And the last one was smart home integration via the Muji app. So in other words, they were trying to extend the use of the Muji app, okay, to the daily home, so that it will really be one-stop shop. this is the outcome from the weighted criteria analysis, and you can see over here that the one which is rank 1 is the digital flywheel, second will be the lifestyle quizzes, and then third will be the AR try-on, and then fourth is the subscription boxes, and finally will be smart home. So it turns out that the respondents don't really like the smart home integration. Okay, so then in terms of the sustainable awareness framework, there are 5 dimensions. So I present here only the economic dimension, and the economic dimension has immediate effect, which is pretty direct, and then it also has the enabling effect, which is pretty positive, and then after that, that is the structural effect, which is more architectural. So I think yeah, because Finland is part of the EU, most likely you are pretty familiar with this, so I will not go too much into it. Okay, so then this was the use case diagram, and this is the Figma prototype. This is the alpha version, so we can see in response to how will respondents perceive gamified quiz-based bundling compared to AI-driven search recommendations and also AI plus VR recommendations. So you can see over here that rank 1, okay, they do like the profile info with history and also the member page, because the history will enable them to remember what did I buy previously, and then usually they are repeat buyers, so they found that this is pretty interesting, this is pretty useful. Then number 2 will be the reward page and history, bundled products, and also referral. So it's nice to know that yeah, okay, the bundled products is considered as pretty interesting. And then after that, number 3 is AR, 4 is the cart checkout, and 5 is the search. So pretty positive in the sense that yeah, they do like history, and also they are they do like bundled products. Then when it comes to the Figma prototype, what they added was the wizard-like tutorial for the AR, as well as the quiz-based product bundling, which is the key element for this investigation. So you can see over here that the one with the highest collective average. Okay, so here you have 4.86. Yeah, so this is the highest. So it went from number 2 to number 1, and then after that we have search 4.84, and also AR 4.84, and now the cart checkout is just 4.06, because to them it's something pretty normal. Okay, so in that sense we see that okay, that is pretty comparable preference, okay, but the quiz-based bundling age number 1, okay, pretty slightly. So the next question is on the cluster analysis. So we see that there are actually 4 clusters, and for questions 4, 5, 7, and also 8, yeah, these are more on the AI-powered recommendation. So cluster 1 and also cluster 4 are pretty, oh sorry, cluster 1 and also cluster 2. Okay, so these 2 are pretty positive, and then the others are like so-so. Okay, so over here we see the age group. So chi-square 13.778. And then here we see the degree of freedom is 9. So it's like, that's not really very significant. And then after that, we have the gender. And this one, degree for freedom is 3. Okay, and the probability is 0.5. So young being young, they can be persuaded. So this is an indication that we should pay more attention to gender. Okay, then after that, we also have the likelihood of customers using the AI search bar. So here we can see that the R-square is 0.7347, and then the degree of freedom over here is 1, so it's more positive compared to the previous one, and therefore we are pretty how to say happy with this, okay, because it still means that LLMs have a lot of future, and therefore it can lead to a lot of potential. And then when it comes to AI plus VR, then the R square is 0.6946, and the degree of freedom, as you can see, is like this, and the dependent mean is 0.89. So it's like, okay, that's not too bad. In between this AI search bar and also the AI plus VR, then it concurs with the averages that we saw earlier on, whereby they are ranked second, but it is actually, how to say, a slight bit 0.02 behind the bundling, the quiz-based bundling. Okay, so then the next question is, to what extent can the AI plus VR become more localized? So we see that, cluster 3 has the lowest mean, that's not good, right? So it's not good, especially for question number 7. Okay, so question number 7, as you can see here, is on AI plus VR. Okay, so we can tap into TEM3's adjustment. So TEM3 is over here. So you can see perceived enjoyment and also objective usability. So if that's the case, then we can actually create maybe some tiny little games, okay, which may be not so resource how to say, consuming, then it can actually contribute towards maybe some points in terms of gamification, and this can lower the cost because they can get discounts. So this will be emulating Lazada and Shopee, whereby, for any task that we do across the brands and also the products, then we will be able to get points. So to students is pretty normal because if we want to get more discounts, then we just play the game more. But of course, the games are pretty simple. With a pretty low resolution, more of a vector kind of art. Okay, and they can still get the points and the vouchers and the discounts in order to reduce the price of whatever that they want to buy. Okay, then of course there will also be maybe some tasks which is related to community service and also some tasks which are related to climate change, and this may be beneficial because they can also learn a little bit about what can reduce climate change as they do the task. And of course, when supposing they donate or they do certain how to say, community service which is online, then they will be able to express maybe some sympathy, some empathy, and they will be able to develop and create greater awareness towards what's happening in other parts of the world. So this will be able to contribute towards the attachment part, okay, in terms of points, and this in terms of community service and also the climate change, it will be able to contribute towards sustainability as well as towards compassion. Next, we come to the aggregation and also the optimization. So we do know that there will be trade-offs, and these trade-offs have to be very carefully weighted, and therefore the weighting has to be pretty dynamic. It cannot be batch processing kind of thing, and therefore maybe there should be the global and the local ontological matching in order to identify better matching for the AI search bar and also for the AI plus VR. And then after that, there can also be this kind of project management information games, okay, whereby they actually do the end-to-end kind of global and local optimization in order to identify or to reduce possible regrets. So this applies to the mini games as well as to in the future, if there is the metaverse, then they may buy products from other domains, and therefore maybe they want to be more careful, and that's where the trusting comes in also. So when there is this inherent intrinsic kind of global local optimization in order to help them to make wiser decisions, okay, then it will also be good. And this to us is pretty important because BNPL, or the buy now pay later, is a problem. So sometimes it's getting more and more serious, and therefore the reducing the regret as well as optimization of the trade-offs will really be something which is pretty critical. So I forgot to show the picture just now. So this was the one on the redesign, which I was trying to work at through the quiz and also through the cross-selling in order to get sufficient data, in order to communicate and also to encourage a little bit of mental shift via cross-intelligence. Okay, then of course this will be the TU Delft, and they are looking at the attachment and trust. So attachment is through the gamification, and trust is through the consistency in what they promise, and also in safety through these kinds of global local optimization techniques. So in conclusion, okay, so the alpha beta testing findings have been pretty positive, and therefore we find that the averages of all three kinds of searches are pretty similar, but the gamified bundling ages first. We do not know, however, whether this result will last because we do not have longitudinal data. We have only once-off kind of data. So we cannot conclude, we can only infer that there is such a possibility. So we also see that actually if we go back to these two for circular economy, and then we also go back to these two for the online shopping, and also in terms of sustainability. So then we should be able to maybe come up with doable kind of technological solutions which is suitable for emerging economies or developing countries, so that we will be able to capture more market, and also be able to learn more about data analytics, as well as contribute towards the circular economy community. Okay, so with that, I thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. We are really running out of time, so unfortunately we cannot discuss this last slide. Thank you for participating, Chen, and I hope to see you again here at ICCSA. We go on with our program. Thanks all of you for being here today. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.